Hi there, I hope you're having an amazing day. Today we're going to be doing something different, which I think is very on theme for today's video. I'm venturing out a little bit, why not? Today's topic, change is very scary, but so is staying the same. We miss out on so much every day because most of us are very scared to move. It's comfortable. I don't know if you've ever heard, but a lot of people say like, it's comfortable to be depressed, it's comfortable to be sad, it's comfortable to be bored. And it is comfortable because it's all you know. And you know that even though you're not happy, it's not going to change, and that it brings comfort. But that's not all that there is to life. Why is change so scary? I don't know. Probably because we don't know. The fear of the unknown, I feel like, is such a common thing for so many people, especially young adults and teenagers. We are born into a world where we're raised knowing only our homes and our families, and then we had to kind of like lock in and get it one day. But we don't get a lot of things and we don't know a lot of things, and we've for 18 years only known home. Even if the home wasn't comfortable, or even if the home was not really home at all, whether it was mental abuse, physical abuse, whatever it might be, it was still comfortable, if that makes sense. The fear of not knowing makes your brain very scared. And that's okay. Like, I think a lot of people think like, oh, I have to be ready to go. I have to be ready to do this. I have to just like, everything has to be planned. Everything needs to be ready. You're defeating the purpose of moving. You're defeating the purpose of change. Change is not something you can necessarily always plan. But the reason people don't like change is because they fear the unknown of what might happen if something goes wrong. So when you try to obsessively plan everything before you ever try anything, you miss out on so many opportunities where you could have flourished in the first place. But it's important to move. I think that we don't move enough in life. I think sometimes some of us move too much, but I think I'm really talking to the audience that doesn't move enough. I've spent most of my life sitting at home in comfort. I struggle very badly with OCD, which I have found most people with OCD are the kind of people that don't move. They are the kind of people that are too scared of change because a lot of our brain is responsive to change, and not responsive in a good way either. A lot of people have really bad flare-ups because of change. I am one of those people, but I'm gonna have OCD either way. I'm going to be anxious either way. So I might as well just do something. I mean, I can always deal with it when it gets there, but I'd rather that than to live the life I'm currently living, if that makes sense. I struggled my entire life leaving the house. I developed really bad agoraphobia, actually. I didn't leave my home for about 6 years, which is a very long time. I wasted 6 years of my life being scared to go outside because I was comfortable. I was safe. And I think even though not everybody has OCD, OCD is a great example of how comfort can control your entire life and how exposure is the only thing that really frees you from it. I remember so much like how fearful I was of leaving my home. Like I thought of every possible bad thing that happened, and no matter how much I planned, nothing could like reassure me that anything would be okay. Because it's not always going to be okay. And I'm not here to lie to you and be like, oh, just go chase your dreams, everything's gonna work out. It's probably not going to work out in many areas of your life, but that's because you're human and not everything is perfect, and that's okay. Not everything has to be perfect all the time. I think I have a hard time too with perfectionism. If I'm failing at something, I'm getting closer than if I did nothing. It's comfortable to stay home and daydream this perfect reality of, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, I want to live in Spain, I want to live in Italy, I want to have $1 million in a couple years, I want to have my own business, I want to write a book, I kind of want to adopt a couple cats. I think I want to get married, but I'm really not sure when. I want to make a business. I want to open up my own bakery. I really want to go to school, but my school's kind of far away. Just go! Oh my gosh, I cannot express this enough. Hold yourself back from growing and learning. There's something so beautiful in not knowing things sometimes, and that's okay. You don't have to know everything. You're not perfect. stuck, I know. Sometimes we can't move on because we're too stuck, if that makes sense. When I struggled with my agoraphobia, I felt very stuck. I felt like my life was overtaken by something that I had no control over anymore. And people experience that every day, whether it's chronic illness or anxiety or panic attacks, whether it's depressive disorders, whether it's anything and everything. Sometimes things just take over our lives, but sometimes we allow it to happen because, again, it's comfortable. As much as I didn't like being at home all the time, and as much as I would rather have lived my life, I was comfortable and I was safe. I knew that if I didn't leave home, nothing could happen to me, nothing bad could happen. But nothing good was happening either. Stop living in survival mode. You wake up every day and you do your routine and you live, but every day you feel empty and sad and there's nothing that's going to fix it. But there's this one thing that you really want to do, or maybe there's 20 things you want to do, but you haven't done any of them. Because change is scary. I grew up in a home that wasn't very accepting of me as a person. And I, even though had agoraphobia for 6 years, I still do. I couldn't leave home. But my dream was to leave home. My biggest dream since I was a very little kid has always been to leave home. I have wanted nothing more than to be able to be my own person and experience life in so many different ways. But leaving home is a lot easier said than done. I was supposed to go to the University of Limerick last year around this time, and my fear of leaving home, as well as many other things, stopped me. I didn't go. I didn't go to Ireland, even though I had worked towards school for almost a decade for Ireland. That's the only thing I want in life. I want to go to Ireland. I want to become a lawyer. That's what I want. And my education has meant the world to me my entire life. And I had to give up on it because I was too scared. I don't resent myself for being scared either, but I really, really regret what I did. I know it'll end up being okay. I know I can learn from it. I am currently learning from it, hence the video. But there's always just this depressing void of this feeling that I could already have what I want and I could already be there. I was so scared. But that's okay. I'm human. The point is, though, sometimes you have to be the person that pushes you. Sometimes you have to be the person that does it. I stayed at home. I lived there nearly another year. And I was miserable. I was very depressed. I had horrible depressive episodes all throughout high school. Mentally, physically, emotionally. In every way, I was horrible. I struggled with eating because of my depression and my OCD was flaring up. I was sick all the time. I was sad. I was depressed. I was unhappy. I needed to get out of my home. I needed to get out of that house. I needed to get away from it all. And I physically couldn't do it. No matter how hard I tried, I was so scared. If I leave now, I have no money to my name. I have nothing. I ended up getting a job because even though I really didn't want a job, I really didn't want to work there. I needed to leave. I didn't want anything to tie me down any more than I already did. I was very pressured by my family to get a job. I got a job and I hated it. I hated my job. And I routined, depressive, horrid. It was awful. I had this experience with my mom for about a year, almost 2, where she was consistently threatening to kick me out. At this point, I was 19. I had just turned 19. And she told me I was being kicked out. And I usually would go to my dad's house, let it calm down, come back home, call it whatever, go back to work, continue on with life. But I woke up, I had work that afternoon, I was living life, and my mom kicked me out. She kicked me out. I got in the car with my best friend and our dog, and I was about to drive to work. I was like, I'll come home later, I'll talk to my mom, it'll be fine. And I couldn't do it. I was like, if I don't keep changing the pattern, nothing will ever change. The pattern has to change. Discomfort has to go. I can't be comfortable anymore. The more comfortable I am, the more it killed me. The more comfortable I was, the more life took out of me. Comfort took life out of me. I didn't want to be comfortable. And my best friend and I, we packed the car with what we had and we left. Lived in a car for 3 months. I was very tempted to go back home and beg. There were many nights that we didn't eat. We didn't have food. I got a job in a city I didn't know. And now, nearly 5 months later, I am sitting in an apartment, and my best friend and I, we have a home of our own. Our dog is very happy. There's food in the fridge, and I'm okay. Because I'm not gonna tell you change is one of those things that just everything's gonna be great. You might really struggle. When I was living in a car though, it was the most peace I had ever felt in my entire life. I felt peace being homeless. That's insane. The thought of that is mind-boggling to me. I can't even process it now. I loved everything about being away from home. And I found beauty in every part of it. Every day I struggled and I cried. At the end of the day, I was like, oh my gosh, no one's yelling at me. In a car, random city, 5 hours from home, I felt safe. I felt peace. And now we have a home. It's nice. It's really nice. But I never would have gotten that if I didn't leave. Change is so important for life. Sometimes you have to be willing to struggle. Because change, just because you choose change doesn't mean, either like everything's just gonna go perfect. Like, I planned everything I possibly could, and I was still homeless. Because sometimes you can't plan everything in life, and that's okay. You figure it out. You live. It's okay to struggle, and it's okay to be scared. I remember, it's weird because I went 6 years with no change, and in the last 5 months, I have had a single day that has not experienced some type of change. Everything has changed. My routine has changed, whether it's every day I experience change in some way or another, and it's made me so happy. So happy. I started doing more. For example, I started posting on YouTube. I was scared. I was like, what are people gonna say? And then I remembered, I don't really care. I don't care. And you gotta change. Sometimes the change is just simply putting the camera up and filming. Sometimes that's the hardest part. Sometimes the hardest part is learning how to edit a video. Sometimes the hardest part is learning what to make videos on. But like, it's needed. Is it change or is it just education? As someone that really values education, I think I've learned a lot that change is education. When you choose to change something in your life, you're choosing to educate yourself on something you've never known about. And that's so beautiful because you're always going to be learning. Whether it's trying a new coffee creamer or trying something new for dinner, change needs to be added and implemented. I don't know. Change needs to be put into your life. Change is such a beautiful thing, and it can be and blossom to be just such a beautiful thing. When you change your life, you become closer to what your calling is. You become closer to what your dream is. Don't settle. Oh my gosh. I grew up in a family where everyone settled for everything. I remember growing up in a family where my mom was like, my dream used to be X, Y, Z, and now I'm just ABC. Why? And the root of it was she didn't want to change what she knew. She didn't want to change the comfort. And I'm not coming at her for that, but it's something everyone in my family has done. It's something I've heard countless of stories on of, I had a dream to do this, but this was just easier. I had a kid I had to worry about. I had a family I had to worry about. I was tied down to a job. Change it. Go. I had a job I called and I quit day of. And I don't regret it at all. And I received a lot of backlash from quitting my job at my hometown. I was so heavily insulted for quitting my job. I was told, you're immature, you don't know how life works, you know, you've never experienced a bad day in your entire life, and you're immature teenage girl that doesn't understand how life works, and you're about to get a really big rude awakening. But I'm happy. A lot of people and a lot of your friends are not going to support your ideas or dreams either, because they're scared of change. They never had the balls to change. But don't let that hold you back. Don't let their fears hold you back. Don't let your family's fears hold you back. I don't know. I just think there's something so beautiful in change when like all you ever known is comfort of a day-to-day routine and a day-to-day structure. Change is a terrifying thing. It's a terrifying topic. But I feel like it's much scarier to be stuck, miserable, and depressed. Change also brings a lot of things that I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with. For example, criticism. A lot of people don't want criticism. Uncertainty. A lot of people, they need to plan everything in life. Everything has to be detailed. Everything has to be structured. It could bring failure. Oh, well, what happens? Then where am I going to end up if everything fails? You figure it out. And that's the part of change. You're never going to know everything. You're not an omniscient presence. You're never going to know everything. And this lack of knowing everything holds you back so much. You know, like, what if I fail? So what? You fail and you figure it out. That itself is change, and that itself is learning. Change is such an educational thing that you need. Your body needs to change. What if my friends criticize me? Who cares? You find new friends. Or you don't. If you don't have friends, you'll live. There's so many people in the world that don't have a lot of friends. There's people in the world that don't have any friends. But they live. It's all about learning. I just don't know everything that could happen. And you're not going to know everything that happens. There's no way you could prepare for everything always. I'm a person that tries to prepare for everything. I need to stop. And this was a great wake-up call. No matter how many times I spent sitting on my bed, 3-4 hours scrolling on Pinterest, trying to get everything just detailed perfectly, I never actually did anything to get closer to it because I was so scared. Just do it. Who cares? Just do it. Stop being so scared of everything. Fear is going to hold you back to a life of settling. Fear the idea of settling more than you fear the idea of change, and you will experience so much more in life. Sometimes we also can't control change. Sometimes things just happen. But a lot of things happen that you can't control. And that happens, and that becomes change, and you grow and you learn, because there's a beauty in learning. It's beauty. I love education. I love learning. And as someone who hated change so much, I look back and I'm like, how could I hate it when it's one of the most educational experiences you'll ever experience? It's hands-on. It's like going into school and working on a lab project hands-on. You learn so much easier, you learn so much more, and you develop this, you're like, oh my gosh, you would develop such intelligence about the idea because you're doing it hands-on. That's what change does. Change is like a hands-on lab experiment. You're learning, you're experiencing it yourself, and you're not going to forget it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Either way, you live. Even if it's just a little change every day. I mean, sometimes you just need to step out of your comfort zone, and that's just the case. Sometimes it's a little something every day that results in a big change. For example, if your dream is to move to Spain and you need $800 to do it, then you get a job. That's your first step of change. You get a job. You go and you put some money aside every week from that job, whether it's $1 or $2. Your bank account is now changing. Well, change doesn't seem so scary now. You don't have to spend that money if you don't want to. It's there. That kind of becomes comforting, because there can sometimes be comfort in change. Then you save up to $800. and you go. Oh, what if I end up homeless in Spain? Then you figure it out there. But sitting here trying to plan everything that's going to happen, you can't control it. You can control it hands-on in Spain though. Who knows? You might land at the airport of Barcelona and somebody's standing there and they're like, hey, I'm trying to look and like take people in. $50 a month, trying to take someone in. Boom. That might be your answer. But maybe it's not. Maybe you are homeless in Spain, but I'm gonna tell you what. Waking up to the Barcelona beach is a whole lot nicer than waking up to your depressive home. I'm just saying. Sometimes sleeping on the side of the road is a little bit better when your view is a lot nicer than it is to ever live at home. Just saying. I'm just saying, don't let people hold you back either. I feel like there's a lot of people. I only have like one person in my life that is a constant level of with me that understands change is important for life. A lot of people I know, when I talk about my dreams and my goals with them, and this is why I need to stop talking about my dreams and goals with other people and just do. Because when I talk to them, they're like, that's unrealistic, or you need to plan this out, or you need to have everything structured. No, that's the reason you're still here, and that's the reason I'm still here. The reason we haven't moved from our spots and the reason we're so comfortable is because we haven't done anything. You're never going to change anything when you try to control everything. It just doesn't happen like that. And you know, maybe it does. Maybe you plan it out and you end up in Italy because that's what you want. But maybe I don't, and maybe I end up doing exactly what I want anyways. You can plan out everything and still get many things, but I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people that are constantly planning everything, but never actually doing because they don't think that they've planned enough. No matter how much they pour into it, they never think it's enough to actually go do it. Sometimes you just need to do it. Sometimes you gotta stop thinking about everything and just do it. Do it. Sitting at home, having a Notion board, trying to plan everything out. Okay, how am I gonna get to Italy? Where am I gonna live? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna go to school for? I don't know what's going on. Okay, what do I do on this Tuesday? What do I do on this Thursday? Oh, what am I gonna do for Thanksgiving? Okay, well, what about when I have to come back to home for Christmas? Stop planning everything, just go. Figure it out when you get there. Get a ticket, go. And I don't wanna hear, oh, you must come from a rich home where you think you could just get everything and just go. If I was rich, I would already be in Ireland. I just want to be very clear about that right now. I have no money to spend on barely groceries, okay? Hence why I'm sitting here. But when the opportunity arises, I'm not going to pass it up anymore. I had an opportunity, I pushed it, I was scared. I was scared of change. I was scared of the inevitable. But I've learned, and now I know when the time arises and the opportunity comes again, I need to do it. I need to stop thinking. If I get there and everything's not planned, oh, I could end up being homeless again. And what if I'm homeless in Ireland? I'm going. Because no matter how much you plan it, when you get there, it's a lot easier to hands-on fix it than it is to ever make a Pinterest board. You can try planning everything out and sometimes everything falls apart. It's just how the world works. Stop holding yourself back from everything because it's not realistic or you have to have everything planned. Just do it. YOLO, that's the point. You look at YOLO. YOLO is so important. I say it every single day. You only live once. You live one time in your life. I do not want to die living a boring life, okay? And I know people are going to be like, well, there's so much more to life other than, you know, living and what it brings you. And, oh, like, after the life, like, what happens after life is so much more important. That's you. That's your life, not mine, okay? I will not die a boring life. I won't do it. I don't care what I have to do. I will get it. I will do anything to get it. A year ago, I said the same thing, but I didn't do it. You can say these things all you want, but you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to go, you have to do it. You just have to do it sometimes, okay? You could die tomorrow. Do you want to die sitting here, sitting there in your bed, or do you want to die trying to do what brings you happiness, trying to do what brings you peace, trying to do what brings you purpose in life? If your purpose in life is just to drive 30 minutes up the street to a different city because that's all you want in life, do it. I don't care how much of your family lives in this hometown and no one can leave. Do it. Do I need to grab you by the freaking shoulders and tell you to do it? Stop holding yourself back. Stop letting people hold you back because you're so scared of everything. You need change. You need to do change. You need to implement change into every part of your life. You hold yourself back so much because you're so scared of everything not being perfect. And what if this and what if that? What if everything just goes well? Huh? What if everything turns out to work exactly how you wanted it to, and you never had to plan anything to get there? Or maybe you had to work really hard to get there. Maybe you have to do everything. Maybe you might have to work really hard for 50 years, but you might get there. You might get it. There's so much beauty in life. Oh, I have an eyelash in my eye. Let's say your goal is I want to become a doctor in Japan. You go to Japan, and you might have to work really hard for 20 years. You might have to work your ass off. You might have to be overwhelmed, stressed, overworked, you might get barely any sleep for 20 years. You might just lose your mind, going crazy. You might have like no social life. You might have no friends, but you're in Japan. So many people are not. You're in Japan. And every morning that you do wake up to this insane struggle, you're in Japan. That's one of your goals. You're in Japan. And you're becoming a doctor. Not everything's easy. Sometimes you have to work really hard to do it, but it's a whole lot better than doing nothing to get there. You're in Japan and you're working really hard for 20 years. You're working your ass off. Every day is like it's just so much to handle, but then you get there. You walk the stage, you become certified, you pass your exam, you're a doctor in Japan. None of this would have happened without change. Okay? Yes, hard work is important. Change is more. You cannot get anywhere in life if you're not willing to change anything ever. Change everything. Change everything that makes you unhappy. But change it. Change everything that makes you unhappy to get closer to happiness. It gets you closer to life. All of your friends might think you're crazy and be like, oh, you're not thinking rationally here. Like, you need to be realistic. Everything can be realistic. Stop letting people tell you that's not realistic. You need to plan everything out. You don't know what you're doing. You need to think this through. You've thought enough. If you know that this is what you want to do in life, you've thought enough. If you're given the opportunity, you need to do it. You need to do it. Okay? And the thing is too, I don't care if you're 60 watching this. If your dream is to become a doctor in Japan, go to Japan. Become a doctor. Do it. Go do it. Just do it. YOLO. Go do it. I don't care if your goal is to become an all-star cheerleader and you're 40, do it. Do it. Who cares what everybody else says and all the criticism you might face? Who cares? You're the one willing to do the change. You're the one willing to commit to it. The reason everybody is going to criticize you is because they're pissed they don't have it in them to do it. They're scared of change. They're comfortable. That doesn't mean you have to be. Don't let them hold you back. Do it. Change your life. Do it. Experience change. Consume yourself with change if that's what gets you closer to everything you've ever wanted in life. Let change happen. Stop sitting in comfort because comfort is getting you nowhere. It's getting you nowhere. I'm saying not everything is going to be easy. Okay, becoming a doctor isn't easy, but it's a lot easier and it's a lot nicer when you're in Japan and you're eating the food you love, you're immersed in the culture that you love, and you're doing what you love, rather than sitting in Arizona, in home with your parents who fight and bring you down all the time, working your stupid 9-to-5 job that you hated. Either way, you're gonna work hard, but one way gets you closer to what you want. but it needs change. You have to do it. You have to change. You have to change, even if it's something every day, you know, even if it's a little something every single day, you need to implement change. You need to change it. You need to do it. You need to YOLO it. You have to just go sometimes. Go. Change. Allow change to happen. It's kind of on brand that this video is different compared to what I usually post, but that's okay. I don't really care. I kind of want to do more things like this where, honestly, I don't know what you call it. Girl talk, self-help. I don't really know what you would call it. I just know that there's this very niche type of video online that I enjoy and I want to make of. So if you have any ideas of what you want to hear, like what you want to know, like life advice, girl advice, I don't know, let me know. And I will see what I can do. I'm not all knowing, but I will see what I can do. But I do appreciate watching this video. I appreciate the love and support, and please don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck. I'm telling you, I don't regret anything in life because I think life and every action you do teaches you so much. For me, personally, I don't regret anything in life. But it is sad how long I was stuck and how long I was so scared of everything and so scared of change. And I just don't want that to keep happening to everyone. I don't want it to happen to myself, but you either. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. Mwah!